I moved back to India, it was about 3 years ago, after living abroad for about 22 years, where I worked as an investment banker. I realized that I wanted to do more, and I just wanted to explore other things in life. So I decided to return to India and explore other possibilities. When I moved back to Delhi, I live here, and I realized when I was going out, be it to social gatherings, be it to parties, be it to meetings, I found there was one thing in common that was happening. There were people rushing towards me with Post-its. You guys are all familiar with Post-its, right? They were rushing to me with Post-its, labeling me up, right? They were just sticking labels on me. And the labels were, the favorite question was, what is it that you do? Where do you live? Who do you know? Why are you here? And really, what they really wanted to know, but they didn't have a goal to ask me, is, how much are you really worth right now? You know? So, and the question I asked, and I think we should all ask ourselves, are we just a collection of labels that others put on us or that we earn? You know, like for example, I've been to business school, I'm an MBA. That's a label. And that label gets me certain entrees into various places in life. So the foremost question that I was asked with all this labeling was, what is it that you do? And I had fun with that because I had come here to explore what is it that I do. So to some I would say, I practice being happy, and they would smirk. To some I would say, I was a hustler, and they would look at me and say, you don't look a hustler. To some I would say, I was a gigolo, and that got bashful responses. And to some I would say that I absolutely do nothing. And they wouldn't accept that. They said, do nothing? By the way, have you guys ever tried to do nothing? It's one of the toughest things to do. It really is. And what really started playing in my mind then was, what's this people, you know, and if I'm honest, not just the people, even I asked myself, what's this obsession that we have with doing? You know, we're just obsessed with what is it that I'm doing and I need to do something. And then what played in my head was, I was reading all these spiritual books, so I'd read some of these spiritual books, and they all said, it's not about the doing, it's about the being. And you just have to be. But everyone was asking me, and I asked myself also, what is it that I'm doing? So how can I just be? You know, aren't we human beings? Or are we human doings? You know, I was asking myself this question, and I think we had forgotten just how to be, right? And the question I have, and I left myself with, how am I being when I am doing? And I love Osho's quote, is be contented with your being and drop the idea of becoming. So now I'll share a question or a statement that comes to my mind in various occasions, and also introduce a couple of concepts that some of you may find relevant and interesting on some of the work that I now do. The first statement is really, I am worthy. And the question that I ask sometimes is, am I worthy? And the two leave me with very different feelings. Because when I'm operating from the state, I am worthy, what I feel inside me is I feel courage. I have the courage to go out and try different things. I have the courage to operate from my natural state. I have the courage to be imperfect, and that's what we all are. I find compassion and kindness, and that's compassion and kindness towards myself first. Not just the others, because we're always saying, let me do something for the outside, but first, I learned to be compassionate to myself, and then I moved it to the others. And what I found was, in that state of I am worthy, I felt I was wholehearted. But occasionally then I found that a lot of us, and including me, asked the question, am I worthy? And when I operated from am I worthy space of that question, is there came to me this huge need to prove something. right? I needed to prove something to someone. The person sitting, that question only arose when I relate to myself in relation to the other, when there is another around. I was operating from fear rather from the love and abundance that I could operate from when I made the statement, I am worthy. I perceived a shortage. There was just a sense of lack over there. Apologies. So in my journey, I found that becoming more aware and being more conscious changed the way that I live, changed the way that I love, and changed the way that I do. And what does being conscious mean for me? For me, being conscious is being fully aware and bringing complete attention to the present, to the here and now, to observe without judgment, not only myself, but also the outside, simply noticing what is arising. I am either enjoying Jaidip speak right now, or I am bored, and when is he going to get off stage? That is being present and being conscious. So practicing mindfulness helps us become more aware, and it helps us in break down old patterns of behavior. Now, where do these old patterns of behavior realize? Where do these reside? They reside in the single most limiting thing that we have created for ourselves, and that is our personality. The personality resides in the cortex of our brain, which is the hard drive. It's where there is no consciousness. It's all our likes, dislikes, the goods, the bads, the shoulds, the shouldn'ts, all the judgments. Personality is all judgment. And that's who we think who we are. We relate to that. And the personality communicates to the neocortex. That's where our rational thinking takes place. And there's that internal dialogue. If you close your eyes and your mind is constantly working, and there's that, I like what he's saying, I don't like what he's saying. There's that dig, 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 that keeps playing. That's the internal dialogue. So why do we create a personality? We create the personality because we like stability and control. And we live in a world where there is constant change around us, but yet we like stability, we like control. So we have this personality, so we create it, we feel comfortable with it. We believe this is who we are. We get attached to it. We see everything through our personality prism. I see you based on my rights, my wrongs, my goods, my bads. But that is not the reality. The reality is all our perceptions together. And how can I communicate best if I narrow myself down into this little box, or as my friend here said, a tea bag? We need to be porous. We need to be taking everything in. So what does the practice of consciousness do? It helps us loosen up this personality. It helps us, just not identify with the personality as such. We just then have the opportunity to look at it and say, this is a pattern. I recognize it's a pattern. This is not me. And then I can choose the behavior. I can then sit back and then decide whether I want to continue to act the way I do, or do I want to practice a different kind of behavior. That's what mindfulness will, help you do. And how we do this is by creating an observer. And what the observer does is separates us from our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions. So we see the personality rather than be the personality. So I can see the pattern, and it's not me. We begin to actually clearly see things for what they are and not what we think they should be. I'd like to, there's a time limit here. So I'd like to just leave a couple of guidelines for practicing mindfulness, because I think everyone's quite familiar and everybody has their own concept of it. But for me, mindfulness is avoid being attached, and I heard that in some of the earlier talks, was avoid being attached to the outcome. Let's give it our best, because when I'm attached to the outcome, I'm not in the present. I'm already in the future. I really want this job, so I'm in this interview, but I'm saying, oh, I really need this job, I really need this job. I'm not present to what I can really contribute to it. We should give it our best, and we should then, just give it up. That is mindfulness. And let's not take ourselves too seriously. Let's make our practice light and joyful. Is there joy and ease in what we're doing? Joy is expanded. There's a sense of lightness there. Fear is heavy and contracted. We can ask ourselves, At any time of day, am I at ease at the moment? And if I don't feel at ease, take a deep breath. Get up. If there's a meeting that you walk into and you're not at ease, get up. If you come back 2 minutes later and you feel and if you're going to be in an expanded state, the whole outcome of that meeting will be incredibly different. Try it. And what about when we communicate with each other? When we communicate with each other, we always have the belief that, but he didn't make this answer, she didn't give this answer the way I wanted it to be. We should accept the situation for it is what it is, right? People are who they are. People, by the way, 80% of human behavior is unconscious, and people are just being who they are. It's not personal, even though the consequences of what they're doing may be personal for me, but it's not personal. They're just unconsciously acting out of their personality. So as leaders, as young leaders, as leaders, all of us lead ourselves, we just should be conscious of that. And we need to take full responsibility of how I'm feeling. I've heard too often, and I've heard myself say that, oh, gee, I'm really angry now because this is what he did to me and this is what he hasn't done. He may have triggered something inside me, but the anger is mine. I must take responsibility for that. Because otherwise, I'm giving away my power of the way I feel to anyone around. So anyone can walk over and change the way I feel. No, the responsibility is mine. We need to take responsibility. And more importantly, I think, is we should just all connect to ourselves. What is it that I really enjoy? What is it that I'm really good at? And what is it that I believe in? We must believe in something. And most importantly, don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun. Life's too short. Thank you. Sure.
I agree with the last point you made about have fun, but fun can be very problematic. And that goes back to, is there ethical fun, or is there, because what I see out there is a lot of people having fun, but perhaps it's not leading to the sort of outcome that I sense that you and I would like.
So the question really is, sorry, to be clear.
Is your definition of fun.
My definition of fun will be very different from somebody else's definition from fun. My definition of fun is just being light and being joyful and do things that make me feel that. I'm having fun right now speaking because I'm feeling light and joyful. I could have fun in the playground. I could have fun with my children. I could have fun having a glass of wine. For me, fun is a state of being, not a state of doing. Thank you. Thank you very much.